The realm still held its breath. Kings had been crowned, armies gathered, dragons waited. Yet, despite all the preparations, no great battle had been fought. There was still a faint hope that the conflict might end through negotiation. That hope died in the skies above Storm's End. Young Lucerys Velaryon arrived first, or so he hoped. Instead, he found the great hall already occupied by Aemon Targaryen. Aemon had come on behalf of his brother, Aegon II Targaryen. He had brought generous marriage offers and promises of favor to Borros Baratheon. Lucerys brought only a reminder of the oath Borros's father had sworn years earlier to support Rhaenyra Targaryen. Lord Borros was not impressed. He demanded to know what Rhaenyra offered in return. Lucerys had no marriage proposal. No gifts, no new promises, only an old oath. Borros declined. He refused to support Rhaenyra. But he also refused to violate the ancient custom of guest right. Lucerys would be allowed to leave safely. If the matter had ended there, history might have taken a very different path. As Lucerys turned to leave, Aemon stopped him. Years earlier, at Driftmark, Lucerys had slashed out Aemon's eye. The scar had never faded. Neither had the hatred. Aemon demanded payment. Some accounts say he ordered Lucerys to cut out one of his own eyes. Others suggest he challenged him to a duel. Lord Borros refused to allow bloodshed beneath his roof. Reluctantly, Aemon let Lucerys leave. But he did not let him escape. Outside, a violent storm had swallowed the sky. Rain lashed the castle walls. Thunder rolled across the sea. Lucerys mounted his young dragon, Arrax, and took to the air. Arrax was swift and agile, but still young, still growing. Behind him came the thunder of another pair of wings. Vhagar, the oldest, the largest, a living relic of Aegon's conquest. Compared with Vhagar, Arrax looked almost like a hatchling. At first, Aemon appeared content merely to frighten his nephew. Vhagar swept through the clouds, closing the distance with terrifying ease. Lightning illuminated the two dragons as they darted between black storm clouds. The wind howled. Rain blinded riders and beasts alike. Lucerys desperately tried to outrun the ancient dragon, but there was nowhere to hide. Then something happened that would define the dance forever. As Vhagar bore down on them, Arrax panicked. Ignoring Lucerys' commands, the frightened young dragon wheeled around and unleashed a burst of dragon fire toward Vhagar's face. It was little more than an instinctive act of fear. The flames caused no real injury, but they enraged the ancient dragon. Aemon shouted commands. He tried to pull Vhagar away. Yet dragons are not machines. Nor are they obedient horses. They are living creatures with ancient instincts. Vhagar ignored her rider. With one devastating attack, she caught Arrax in her jaws. The smaller dragon was torn apart in midair. Lucerys and Arrax plunged into the storm-tossed waters below. Neither survived. When Aemon landed, the reality of what had happened became clear. Whether he had intended only to intimidate Lucerys or to kill him outright remains one of the central ambiguities of Fire and Blood. The book presents differing accounts, and no witness could know exactly what passed between rider and dragon in the heart of the storm. What is certain is the result. A prince was dead, a dragon was dead, and the first blood of the dance had been spilled. The news reached Dragonstone days later. For a long time, no one dared tell Rhaenyra Targaryen. When she finally learned that her son had been killed, witnesses described a profound transformation. The grieving mother, who had still spoken of caution, disappeared. In her place stood a queen determined to wage war. According to one famous account, Rhaenyra said only, "Tell my half-brother, I will have my throne, or I will have his head." Whether those were her exact words is uncertain, but they capture the change in her resolve. From that day forward, compromise became almost impossible. No one was more enraged than Daemon Targaryen. When he heard of Lucerys's death, he vowed that Aemond would pay. But Daemon had no intention of fighting fairly. Instead, he conceived one of the darkest acts in Targaryen history. He sent word to King's Landing. His message reportedly contained only 6 words: an eye for an eye, a son for a son. Soon afterward, 2 unlikely assassins entered the capital. One was a dismissed member of the City Watch. The other was a rat catcher familiar with the secret passages of the Red Keep. History remembers them by the names Blood and Cheese. Their mission would horrify the 7 kingdoms. It would ensure that neither side could ever claim the moral high ground again. The Dance of the Dragons had become a war of vengeance, and it was about to grow far more terrible.